20,000 cells, smaller than a grain of rice, hidden behind your eyes, deep inside the brain. This tiny cluster decides whether you wake up sharp tomorrow or foggy. Researchers call it the master clock. And after 60, this clock starts to drift. You feel it as morning fog, as that afternoon hour when words won't come, as nights that don't quite recharge you anymore. 6 minutes a day can give that signal back. A 2013 study in Current Biology proved it. The fix doesn't come from a pill or a supplement. It comes from something free, and most people over 60 are missing it without ever knowing why. You know the feeling. You wake up, you drink your coffee, you wait for the day to feel like yours again, but some mornings, no matter what you do, the fog just sits there. Other days, by 3 p.m., you're reaching for a word, and it just isn't there. The name of a neighbor, a street you've driven down 1,000 times. You've probably been told this is just aging, that at your age this is normal. Research shows this experience is incredibly common after 65, but the assumption that it's just aging is the part that's wrong. Because what most people don't realize is this: that morning fog, that afternoon dip, they often start with one specific signal your brain isn't getting anymore. A signal that those 20,000 cells need every single morning. In the next 12 minutes, you're going to learn 3 things. What those 20,000 cells actually do, why they drift after 60, and the 6-minute habit researchers have shown can reset them. Starting tomorrow morning, no supplements, no appointments, no pills, just 6 minutes and the right kind of light at the right time. Let's go inside your brain for a moment. Right behind your eyes, just above the spot where your optic nerves cross, there's a tiny cluster of cells. Neuroscientists call it the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN for short. About 20,000 neurons, smaller than a grain of rice. And yet this cluster controls almost everything that matters for how your day feels. It controls when you feel sleepy, when you feel alert, when your body releases cortisol to wake you up, when melatonin rises at night to let you sleep, when your blood pressure peaks, when digestion is strongest, when your memory consolidates, all from 20,000 cells, smaller than a grain of rice. Here's how the system works. The SCN doesn't run on a 24-hour cycle on its own. It runs closer to 24 hours and 15 minutes. Every single day it needs to be reset, and the way it resets is through one signal: light hitting the back of your eye. Specifically, there are special cells in your retina, not the ones you see with, but separate cells discovered only in 2002. These cells don't send images to your brain. They send one message: it's morning. They tell the SCN, reset the clock. Now here's the part that changes after 60. 3 things drift at once. First, the lens of your eye thickens and yellows, meaning less blue light reaches those special retinal cells. Second, the SCN itself loses neurons gradually with age. Third, most adults over 60 spend dramatically less time outdoors than they did at 40, especially in the early morning. A 2017 review in NPJ Aging and Mechanisms of Disease documented this clearly. By age 70, the average adult receives roughly half the morning light signal they received at 30. Half, and the master clock, those 20,000 cells, starts to drift. That drift is what you feel as morning fog, as shifted sleep timing, as the sense that mornings just don't quite work like they used to. It's not a failure of willpower. It's a signal your master clock isn't receiving anymore. But the fix, and this is what surprised researchers, turns out to be remarkably simple, and it takes about 6 minutes. Let me describe a scenario that reflects what researchers consistently observe in studies of circadian aging. Imagine a woman in her early 70s, recently retired, who had been telling her doctor for 2 years that something felt off. Her mornings started slow. Her afternoons brought a fog she couldn't shake. Her nights had become unpredictable, sometimes asleep by 10, sometimes staring at the ceiling until 2. Her tests came back normal. Her doctor told her it was just aging. Now, based on what researchers documented in the Wright 2013 camping study and the follow-up trials, here's what an intervention like the one she eventually tried looks like. She started spending the first 6 minutes after waking outside, not exercising, not walking, just sitting. With a cup of tea facing the direction of sunrise, even on cloudy days, within 2 weeks her sleep started consolidating. Within 4 weeks her morning fog began lifting. By week 8, her afternoons felt different, sharper. Not because anything in her body had fundamentally changed, but because her master clock had finally received the signal it needed. Here's why 6 minutes works. The Wright study, published in Current Biology in 2013, took 8 participants camping for a week. No artificial light, just natural sunrise and sunset. After just 7 days, every single participant's master clock had reset. Their melatonin started rising 2 hours earlier. Their mornings felt sharper. Their afternoons felt clearer. What the researchers realized is this: it isn't the duration that matters most. It's the intensity and the timing. Indoor lighting, even bright indoor lighting, is about 100 to 500 lux. Outdoor light, even on a cloudy day, is 10,000 lux or more, 20 to 100 times stronger. Those 20,000 cells in your master clock are calibrated for outdoor intensity. Indoor light, no matter how bright it feels to your conscious eye, is too dim to reset them properly. That's why 6 minutes of outdoor light in the first hour after waking does more than 3 hours of indoor light later in the day. So what does the protocol actually look like? Researchers have it down to specifics, and the details matter more than you might think. Here's the protocol based on the research from the Wright Lab, the Bloom 2019 review in Somnology, and the follow-up trials in older adults. 3 things, each one specific. 1. Timing. The signal works best in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, not at noon, not in the afternoon. The early window is when those 20,000 cells are most responsive, when the signal can actually reset them. 2. Duration, 6 minutes on a clear, sunny day, up to 15 minutes on a heavily overcast day. That's it. You don't need an hour. You don't need to sweat. You don't need to walk anywhere, though walking is fine if you enjoy it. 3. Exposure. Outdoors. Through a window doesn't count. Most windows block 50 to 80% of the wavelengths that matter for resetting the SCN. Even sitting on a covered porch works, as long as you can see the open sky in any direction. No sunglasses for the 6 minutes. Regular prescription glasses are fine. That's the whole protocol. Step outside. 6 minutes. Within the first hour of waking, before your coffee gets cold. What you'll notice first, and most people notice this within 10 to 14 days, is your evening. You'll start feeling tired at a more consistent time. Your sleep will start to feel deeper. By week 4, the morning fog usually begins to lift. By week 8, your afternoons feel different, sharper, more stable. None of this is a miracle. It's just the master clock. Those 20,000 cells finally receiving the signal it was always meant to receive. Right now, as you're listening to this, picture what's happening inside your skull. Those 20,000 cells sitting just behind your eyes. They've been waiting. Some mornings they get what they need. Other days they don't. And here's what the research has been quietly telling us for 20 years. The drift you've been feeling, the foggy mornings, the unpredictable nights, the words that won't come at 3 p.m., these aren't separate problems. They're often one problem. One signal missing. The 2020 follow-up studies in older adults showed something striking. Adults over 65 who consistently received morning light exposure didn't just sleep better. Their cognitive assessment scores held steadier over time. Their mood was more stable. Their memory consolidation during sleep, measured directly in lab settings, improved within weeks. Not because light is medicine in the traditional sense, but because it's the signal those 20,000 cells were always waiting for. So tomorrow morning, here's what I'd ask you to try. Before the coffee, before the news, before checking your phone, step outside, sit or stand or walk, whichever feels natural. 6 minutes, that's all. You don't need to think about your master clock. You don't need to track anything. You don't need an app or a wearable. Those 20,000 cells will do their work the way they've been doing for as long as humans have existed. They just need the signal. And here's what I want you to know. The brain after 60 is not broken. It is not in decline by default. It is, in many ways, remarkably responsive, given the right signals at the right time. The research holds the data, but you hold the choice. 6 minutes tomorrow morning is a choice that's entirely yours. Your sleep will notice. Your mornings will notice. Your brain will notice. If this resonated with you, leave a comment below. What time do you usually wake up? And could you see yourself trying 6 minutes outside tomorrow? I read every comment when I plan upcoming videos. Subscribe if you'd like more videos like this one. And next week, we're going inside the glymphatic system, your brain's overnight cleaning process, and the one habit that determines how well it works after 60. This channel translates peer-reviewed research into educational content. The voiceover is AI-generated. Full sources and disclaimers are in the description. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Inside the glymphatic system.